Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome at Erasmus University Rotterdam. Welcome at the Rotterdam School of Management. You are now in the introductory session on the English language program International Business Administration. So if you come for another program, you're in the wrong lecture hall. This is the IBA program. Welcome. My name is Adrie Meidam. I work as Executive Director for the IBA program. You'll see a lot of my colleagues as well, mainly from the Recruitment and Admissions Department. And we're going to use our time to tell you a little bit about our program, our admissions, etc. Also welcome to the people watching us online. We have live streaming, we're also videotaping, we're webcasting, so we have a big audience this morning. Great, welcome also to you. And just to make sure, we are a highly international program, and I will elaborate on this later on a little bit. All the times when we have open days, I'm always a bit curious. Most of you will come from the Netherlands, I'm pretty sure, but do we also have people who make the effort to visit us from abroad today? Can I see some hands? Yeah, that's great, that's the IBA spirit. Just mention some countries, just shout. France, yeah, one of the big three. Chile, only one. Brazil, Switzerland, we've met last week probably. Germany, of course. Italy. Yeah, I hear lots of other countries. That's great. That's the true IBA spirit. Let's give it a start. Probably especially for you, because you made the effort to come over. You may have good reason to do so. Why would you choose to study in the Netherlands when there's so many places where you can go? The US, the UK, every country on earth. There's so many business schools all around the world. So why come to the Netherlands? Well, one, let me say, the average level of higher education in the Netherlands is pretty high. I think all of our universities are in the top 200 in most university rankings, like the Times Higher and the Universal. So you see, the quality overall is pretty good in the Netherlands. Moreover, we're a small country, so the rest of the world is big. So we have chosen to go international, not only as a country, we're a country of traders, but also as universities, as institutions of higher education. We are the largest provider of university programs in English of the world, apart from the native-speaking countries. So apart from the US, the UK and Australia, the Netherlands is the largest provider of courses in English. The phenomenon of the international classroom, which means that you have students from different nationalities being together in the same class, that's a common phenomenon in the Netherlands. We work often with that. Then the location. The Netherlands is a hub, because some say, well, the Netherlands is a good place to go, because you're only at 1 hour's distance from Brussels, from London, from Paris, and it's just a short flight to Milan, Prague, Stockholm, etc. We are very well located. Important, also from a legal point, we offer recognized degrees. If you earn a degree, a diploma in the Netherlands, it will be recognized and accredited worldwide. About our country, most say we're an easygoing country. People are relaxed, easy. There's not much power distance, as we say. We treat each other equally. Many students like this tolerant and free atmosphere. Last but not least, mainly for the parents, we are a pretty affordable country to study. I'll come back to this later on. So who are we? Rotterdam School of Management. One of so many business schools in the world. And actually, the bottom line question is always, if there are so many business schools out there, how to choose, how to pick a good one? Well, let me tell you, that's a threefold story. One, you can recognize a business school when it is accredited. And accreditation means that an external organization, a professional organization, has put a stamp, a seal of quality on it. And actually for business schools, only 3 accreditations really matter. You have the American one, which is ASCSB. You have EQUIS, which is the European one. And you have AMBA, which is the British one. Every business school that has at least one of these accreditations, you can be sure it's a good school. When you have 2 or 3, probably even better. We have all 3, we just made sure. So that's one indicator. A second one, are you in the rankings? And the rankings, these lists that the newspapers and the magazines publish every quarter. The most important one, Financial Times, but there's also the Wall Street Journal, the Business Week, the Neue Karriere, the Economist. There are plenty of rankings all around the world. We're very keen on being in the rankings that focus on business schools. So not entire universities, because university can be good in business, but not very good at psychology or the other way around. No, we're looking at the business rankings. And then again, the Financial Times pops up. That's an important one. But actually, regardless how these rankings measure, we're always in. And if you took a look 2 weeks ago, on Monday, they announced the annual ranking of Masters of Science programs, the Masters in Management. They put us on 5th place worldwide, which is a good position. Third, there's a bit of a common saying among business schools, which goes, tell me who your partners are, and I'll tell you who you are. And actually, when we are approached by a school, do you want to cooperate with us? Do you want to exchange students or teaching staff? One of the very first things we do is take a look on their current partner list. Are they mediocre schools? Are they pretty good schools? Are they good schools? Are they excellent schools? I'll show you our partner list later on. I can already tell you it's a superb list. We have also said, as a business school, we go international. We set up this IBA program in the year 2000 with just one aim, to make it as international as possible in all aspects. And we also wanted to have this acknowledged, so we went to the Dutch-Flemish Accreditation Organization, NVO, and we applied with them for a special distinction in this regard. And we were given one. We started with good, and 3 years ago, they gave us an excellent distinction. We're the only bachelor program in the Netherlands having this. So we take this international thing very seriously. Then the subject of studies. What is IBA? There's so many definitions, but one that we could use, let's say, we focus on the management of international companies. And there's a few components I will elaborate on. We prepare you for a career in international business, that's an important one, by immersing you in an international study environment and of course by confronting you with the latest in business. So let's pick out a few components. If you take a look at a program of a business school, regardless where it is, you'll always find some courses that everybody offers. There's always finance, there's always accounting, so how to calculate your costs and your profit. There's always marketing, how to promote your products. There's always sales, how to get rid of your products. In many cases there's also operations, how to produce your products. These are called functional areas in business, and every business school teaches them. This is important because if you choose to offer a broad bachelor program like we do, we offer you a couple of courses in each of these functional areas, implying that this is a broad bachelor program, and we offer a specialization option in the master's. So in a one-year master's, it's either finance or marketing or accounting, etc. It's also pretty likely that your first job will be in this field. If you choose to specialize on Falcons, it's pretty likely that you end up in a finance job, etc. Still, we expect our graduates within a couple of years that have grown in their job, that they have developed what we call a bit of a helicopter view, that they know how to link the different functional areas. That's the moment when management comes in. So that's why we put strategy in the middle. We have some courses in the program in which all this comes together. For instance, in the first year, we're expecting our students to write a business plan. This is where it all comes together. So that's our approach. The second component of the definition, we try to what we call to develop your cross-cultural competences, implying that we try to learn your work, cooperate with people who are different. That's an important aspect of the program because there's a lot of group work in the IBA program. And actually, you can imagine that you find yourself in 10 years' time working on a project somewhere in the United Arab Emirates, together with a team of Chinese, of locals, of Americans, some Germans, etc. This is exactly what we train in the program. We compose groups at the beginning of the program and we challenge you to work, to cooperate with students with a different background, with different attitudes, with a different way of working. That's exactly where the challenge of the IBA program is. About the program itself, we are in Europe, so it's a 3-year program. We start at a pretty high level. We cover all these areas in business, as I said, and of course you've noticed we teach in English. It's a combination. We are a research university, so there's always a solid research layer, foundation in every course that we teach. All our teaching staff is actively involved in research. At the same time, it also should be fit for purpose, because we expect you to end up in a job which is pretty hands-on, so the program also comprises some courses that are pretty much hands-on and applied. Our student population, that's our pride. What I present for you here is the composition of the first year group who just started 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago in our program. And we're proud to say that we took in students from 60 different nationalities, which makes us one of the most international business programs all over the world. There's few schools who can boast this. It's not equal numbers, not all continents are equally represented in our program. You see there's still work to do in Africa. Last year we had more from Morocco, from South Africa, etc. But this year only 1 or 2 guys with the Egyptian nationality. Europe, of course, is there very prominently. Normally we refer to what we call the big 3 that we have in the program. So the Dutch is the largest group, but I'll elaborate a little bit on the Dutch later on. And then we have the French and the Germans, so that's the big 3. And then other nationalities are smaller numbers. But still, this is our main asset, our main capital. And actually, if you ask a student, what do you like most in the program? Quite some students say, my fellow students. Take a look at how we do the program. We run a trimester system, so we divide the year in 3 roughly equal parts, normally consisting of around 10 weeks of lectures, instructions, workshops, preparations, etc. Then we stop, have a break, and then we plan the examinations, and we do the research in summer. However, I would like to ask your attention for the bottom line, which says 15 hours per class. You will say, well, that's not much, it's easy. But be aware, this is the main difference between studying at secondary school and going to university, at least in our kind of programs. Because most of the work needs to be done outside the classroom, because you're supposed to work on assignments, for instance, in the library or in the restaurant or wherever you want to go. You're supposed to meet with fellow students, you need to prepare, you need to study your literature, you need to prepare your exam. The majority of work takes place outside class, because the normal full workload is 40 hours a week. A look at the program. You already recognize some of these functional areas because you see a course in Foundations of Finance and Accounting. You also see some economics courses, operations, that's on the production side. But actually I would like to highlight, a couple of one. I could tell you a lot about these courses, but I've asked one of my students to elaborate a little bit on the courses she took in the first year. And maybe you can quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, all right. Well,
do you have a microphone? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. My name is Sharon. I'm a second-year IBA student this year, so I'm going to tell you a bit about the courses that I liked during the first year. First of all, I'd like to highlight the student mentor program. The mentor program is here basically for you guys to get a bit more accustomed with the university itself, to make you feel more at home. Your mentor will provide you with any advice, or if there's any questions that you have or any troubles that you have in the first couple of weeks, they're here to help you. And secondly, there's the strategic business plan, which Adi already mentioned in his presentation. This is a great experience in your first year. It really allows you to actually get some hands-on business experience. You form a group with about 4 students, which you select yourself. And then you find a company which you will write an actual business plan for. So basically it can be anything. There's a couple of requirements, but it's up to you to find the company and actually contact them and work with them. You'll be visiting it, you'll be conducting interviews perhaps with the CEO or someone else that you're in contact with, and then you'll be writing a strategic business plan on their operations, and the plan might actually be employed by the company itself. For example, the plan that we wrote, I think we just sent it to the company last week, and they actually told us that they'll be taking it into consideration in their meeting. So it's very cool. It's a very cool experience in your first year already.
Was the company willing to share all the secrets with you?
Well, yeah, most of them, like, they do tell you it's confidential, but they did share a lot of their internal information with us. So it's very cool to actually get some insight into how a company actually works. And
did they take you seriously? I mean, did you give them advice of which they said, well?
Yeah. They definitely, like, you would expect them to be like, oh yeah, first year students, no, like, they haven't had that much experience. We're not going to take them seriously. But they took us very seriously. And like I said, they actually, the report that we wrote, they actually accepted it, and they told us, I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but they told us that they would take it into consideration with their future plans. So, very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The first year, a year of hard work, and actually one of the things happening at the end, and probably already noticed up front, Erasmus University is the only university in the Netherlands who requires you to successfully pass your first year in 1 year. So you're not allowed to have courses left. So that takes something. We're pretty strict in this. We changed this a couple of years ago. How do we do this? It takes 2 to tango. What we not do is just having you in a lecture hall like this for 10 weeks, pretty relaxed, and then you start studying 1.5 weeks for your exam, then the exam is there. That's a recipe for disaster. So that's how we not work. How we do, we make you work regularly. So for instance, the students who started a couple of weeks ago, last week they already had 3 midterm exams. So the mathematics exam was there already, and they could already earn 50% of the final credit. And they were not doing this unprepared, because they had already been able to do 3 or 4 online tests, for which they could also earn a little bit of their final grade. Same for many other courses. Almost every week there's something that adds to your final grade. And this is really a good recipe to make you work on a regular basis. And it really works, because as soon as we've introduced this, we found out that we now have more students successfully passing the first year after 1 year than we had in the past after 2 years. So it's possible to do so. You're definitely not left on your own, yourself. We have student advisors, we have the mentor program. Our general advice is go with the flow, mix as soon as you can, and try to develop a regular working pace right from the start on, and in principle you can be very successful then. We have a high success rate in our first year so far. Second year, well again, some of these areas, you see some finance, you see some marketing, there's strategic management, so the related one. A nice one to mention is technology management, because in this course we make you work on a project together with students from Technical University in Delft, and I can tell you they're different from business students. So there's really a challenge to be successful in cooperating with people who have a totally different mindset, but it's useful because you'll meet this later on in your career. Cross-cultural management is a very important one. What is the theory behind working in culturally diverse teams? What kind of tensions, what kind of challenges do you meet? How do you solve these? How can you be productive when you're so different? That's one of the heart of the matter. Leadership, sustainability and governance includes ethics. Important nowadays. Those of you driving a Volkswagen will know that there's an interesting clash between marketing, sales, production, finance, accounting and ethics. This is where a lot comes together as well. We offer some additional options for the ones who are really ambitious. Normally, every student in the IBA is considered ambitious because it also takes something to get in. Still, we have more. Actually, this year we started with a double degree together with philosophy. So if you're interested in philosophy, you can also take this alongside your courses. Erasmus University offers 3 honors programs, which are interdisciplinary, so they're stretching over various areas. We also have our own one. We started it just this year about innovative entrepreneurship. We make students work on projects, etc. And the cherry on the cake is the study trip at the end to Silicon Valley in the States. So that's all there. We have more of this. We have a case society in which you can work in case competitions. So in a team of 4 or 5 you compete worldwide with other business schools. It's all there. Third year, this is actually the first moment that you really have the option to make a fundamental choice in your program. So far, it's pretty prescriptive. You have to take all these courses with some variations in groups or subjects. But the first half of the third year is different, because then you're given the option to either go on exchange to one of our partner schools, or to take an international internship with a company, or to do a set of electives, the minors. And the latter we normally would not recommend to our Dutch students, because we would like them very much to go abroad. That's why you're an IBA and not in the bedrijfskunde program. The internationals are welcome to take the minor. That's the first important choice you can make. Also, finalizing the entire program, we want to make sure, as a university which has academic and research status, that you're able to conduct research on yourself. So the bachelor thesis is strongly focused on testing your research skills so far. And every trimester there's a course that tries to create this dealing with research elements. It all comes together in the bachelor thesis. And then you might be done. So where can you go? To the partner schools. I already said, well, we have a great network. That's no exaggeration. We're expanding all the time. So for instance, if you would look at the partners we have in the US, our American friends would say, well, there's quite some biggies among them. We have the Wharton School, which is generally considered to be the #1 undergraduate business program in the world. We have Virginia, who's second. We have Michigan, who's top 5 again. Keenan-Fleckler is top 10. Ohio State, Emory. It's a lot of big schools. And we're always negotiating, so I was unable to fill out the one which has the name Dyson, but you can check yourself which one this is. We're far negotiating with them. Still, having said so, US schools, very popular, top of the bill. Asia is booming, so we need to work all the time to have sufficient places in Asia. Mainland China, increasingly popular, so it's a long list. And if we would meet in 1 month's time, there may be another 1 or 2 schools in mainland China. We've seen the same phenomenon in Hong Kong, so we currently have 5 partners, so we have everything that's available over there. We need it, because you students are so keen to see what's going on in Asia. Still, there's also a lot on offer in Europe, and those coming from Europe may know which business school is the best in their country. For instance, if you're from Italy, you will know that Bocconi is the top school. If you're from Switzerland, you will know the St. Gallen, etc. They're all in the partner network, so this network is good. Then you're done with the bachelor program. An increasing percentage of students does it in 3 years, but you're welcome to take 4 years, that's up to you. Then the choice is yours, and you're welcome to continue with us, to specialize in one of these masters in these functional areas. You could also choose to do a master's abroad. That's fine with us, as long as you choose a good school. So we've seen quite some students heading through the UK to the top schools in Cambridge, Oxford, London, some European partner schools, all fine with us. You can also choose to start a career, a first job, most likely in one of these functional areas, earn some money. One of the advantages related to that is that you might be eligible in a couple of years' time to take an MBA, which is also a master's in business administration. But that's a master's in business that's only open for people having relevant working experience. So when you've worked worked in a job for 3 or 5 years, you've developed some management responsibility, you can be entitled to take an MBA program. What do we offer? Well, 11 one-year highly specialized programs. If you choose finance, it's finance what you get, almost nothing else. We have some programs are different. We have the International Management SEMS program, and actually that's kind of a natural continuation of the IBA program because it takes a broad approach. It's very international. There's again an international internship. You need to be fluent in 3 languages, including your mother tongue. You need to go on exchange. That's a very international one. That's also a bit longer. Next year we'll also start with a program that we call Finance and Investments Advanced, and some would also call it an honors program. That's a finance program with higher entry requirements for the ones who really go for the top jobs in finance, and well, we will be launching it next year. The Masters in Management is for students with a bachelor degree not in Business and Economics, so that's not for you, and you can also go the research track. So you might wonder, what are former IBA students doing? Well, first of all, they go all over the world. We had a reunion a couple of weeks ago, and we can see where all these students are. They're all over the globe. That's typically IBA. If you look at the kind of jobs, most of our graduates at this moment, around 35%, are active in the consulting scene. McKinsey is a very well-known address for many of our students. They also have the habit to send you to a reputed MBA after a few works. Finance is second, with around 25% of our students work in the finance sector. Third is marketing, communication, corporate relations, etc. It's a popular one. A very small percentage of our graduates ends up in the public sector, so with the governance, but it's possible. So we have people working at the Ministry of Finance. And actually you're welcome to take a look on our website to see where the companies are. We normally produce an annual report, the graduate placement survey. It's available online on the website, so you can see what people earn, where they work, which countries they go. You see a top 20 of employers. Roughly speaking, our performance on the labor market is pretty good. An unemployment rate of around 4%. Certainly in these times of financial crisis, it's pretty good. So you can be sure that if you study a business program like this, it will be a good return on investment. Then, the next chapter, admission. IBA is a program with a fully selective admission, and at the same time I can tell you are very popular. Last year we were the most popular program of the entire Erasmus University, and it seems we were even the most popular program in the country. So we had around 1,250 applicants at Erasmus University who completed their registration. In StudyLink even more students registered, around 2,000. So we're in the picture, you can say. How do we work? We roughly look at 3 things. Our main driver is that we really want to create this international classroom. So we look for diversity. So that explains our strategy. How do we do? So, and of course you need to be formally qualified. You need to bring a diploma that brings you in. Actually, if you would take a look at our website, you go to the admission and application pages, you will find an overview, selection criteria per diploma. There's a long list of around 60 countries for which we have included very detailed requirements. So if you have a US high school diploma, Canadian Ontario, the French baccalaureate, etc., you can see in detail what we require from you. So we just want to make sure that we're taking good students. Some diplomas, well, of course, Dutch, VWO, will bring you in. Tweetalig VWO, bilingual VWO. We're keen on that because that's a bit of a statement. International Baccalaureate, very common with us. Last year we took in 67 students with an IB diploma. EB, also popular. If you did high school, you would need to bring at least 4 IPs. So I would say, take a look. So what do we exactly select on? Well, mainly on 3 criteria. To compose this international classroom full of ambitious students, we want to make sure that we have an international student population. So our first question is, what is your background by internationality? So where do you come from? Where are you born? Where have you lived? What's in your passport? Where have you been to school? What kind of international experience have you? Have you traveled, backpacked, holidays, etc.? That's an important thing. At the same time, it's not easy to change that because you cannot help to be a Dutch one or an Italian one. So that's a bit of a given. It's partly in your activities. That makes a second requirement even more important. We want to know about your motivation. Normally, for instance, we would say to our Dutch applicants, you're most welcome to apply in the Dutch language bedrijfskunde program. Great program, same mathematics, same finance, same marketing, so you're most welcome to go there. It's not selective. But if you want to be in the International English Language Bachelor program, you need to demonstrate, to prove why you want to be there. What is your reason to go to the English Language International program? And there you need a solid motivation, and I'll come to this in the next slide. Third, you also need decent grades. Roughly speaking, you would need an average of 7 on the Dutch grading scales, but we have formulated equivalence requirements for many diplomas all around the world. Let's take a look at motivation. I already said, group work is a very important component of the IBA program. You will find yourself so often in groups. And at the beginning of the program, we compose the groups just to make sure that you get exposed to as many different people as possible. Later on, we change this a bit, because then there are also other reasons to allow you to select your own group mates. But in the beginning, we do it just to make sure that you see as many different people as possible. What we want to make sure is that you're open for that. That you really like to be in a group who is composed of Chinese students, German students, Italian students, etc. And of course, in the beginning, everybody's excited. Oh, it's so great to be with a Brazilian, a Canadian, Bolivian, etc. So that's all adventures. It's great. People get very enthusiastic about it. But then life goes on. And you need to produce, the paper needs to be written, the presentation needs to be prepared, and then you start to get to know each other better. And you see, oh, there's different habits in, let's say, in the time schedule, in the agreements at what time we start, how lengthy our description should be, what the quality of the presentation should be. That's where the IBA challenge starts. And we want to make sure that we take in students who see this as an interesting challenge, who really like to be part of this whole adventure, this IBA track. So this is what we ask, and this has changed as compared to past years. In past years, we asked you, write us a motivation letter in which you explain about your background, why you would be interested in an international program, why you choose us, and what your future plans. That's still nice to know, but we've decided to focus more on your willingness, your desire to be really part of this international group. So what we've done, we have replaced this motivation letter by 5 questions in the online application system. And if you go to the online system, you will find them easily. We have not given you too much space, so we're not waiting for lengthy stories. Actually, what we want is that you give us an answer on 5 questions, and you will see the reason behind. First, have you already been in a situation in which you have worked with people from different backgrounds? Because that's a relevant experience. If you've showed that you're able to do so, it's pretty likely that you will also be successful in the IBA program doing so. So if you have experienced that, let us know. Second, for instance, if you did not have the privilege to work with people who are different, have you ever stepped out of your comfort zone? Because that's a comparable thing. Have you been abroad for a while? Have you made plans for your own? Did you set up a company? Where have you been? You can think of all kinds of things just outside the regular path. Because also part of the IBA adventure is being a bit outside of the regular path. So we want to know about this. Third, very important. It's not only lip service when you say, oh, I would really like to be with the Germans and the Chinese in a group. No. What are you actually going to do to integrate with people who are different? What kind of plans do you have? Are you planning to have social moments with them? Do you plan regular meetings? Will you cook for them? Whatever. Just let us know. Then 4, what proves your sincere interest in this program? So what adds to your motivation? And 5th, any other relevant information. When you've done things, when you've been at the Model United Nations or backpacked or whatever, let us know. This is very important because we will score your answers on these questions, and we will be able to rank you also, especially when we have more applicants than places available. So that's an important component. And you can already imagine, from many international students, we believe beforehand that they have a solid motivation to come to us, because otherwise they would not make the effort. So you will understand, especially for the Dutch students, it's very important how they describe, how they give answers to these motivation questions. A word about grades. Well, some indication, as said, there's more detail on the website. So roughly speaking, in the Netherlands, life starts at 7, including a 7 for mathematics or 7 for English. For IB, we roughly require 33 IB credits. You may include your extended essay, your theory of knowledge, and CAS. We have comparable requirements for many diplomas. So you can easily check yourself, will I meet these requirements or not? What we not do is waiting until your final exam. The reason why is that we work with a rolling admission system. Actually, admission is already opened for next year. We started 1st of October, so last week. We have a rolling admission system implying that you can apply all year round. Within 6 years, you know the outcome. You have an offer or you don't have an offer. And in incidental cases, we may say, we would like to wait for a while. And actually, there's nothing against early applications, because the risk is ours, because we do not know how many students we will get in the end. There's nothing lost if you apply at an early moment. So if you qualify, you can already do so. And what we do to create a level playing field, we check your school report of the before last year, so the one you had before summer. So for instance, if you're at VWO, your school report from 5 VWO to 6, or when you're in the IB, your IB1 school report at the end of the year, before the IB2 starts, etc. So then we're able to compare. If you already meet our requirements with this report, in principle, we can already make you an offer. It's possible that you do not exactly meet, that you had to do different things in that year, and that you perform not as good as you're able to, or at least that you think that you're able to. Then still a chance to improve. Do so in your final year and apply at a later moment, at least at the moment when you think, well, I'm qualified. And the only warning is, do not wait too long. If you wait for school reports and final grades, and it will be April or May or so, there's also a fixed and strict deadline, and that's a very strict one in the IBA program. Live after 1st of May for applications is not possible anymore, so don't apply too late. And every year we see a large number of students still applying around the deadline. We even do not open their applications because we're full at that moment already. So don't take that risk.
What do you mean by the first line there?
The end of year report?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the VWO, that is the Dutch, that is the Dutch secondary school system. So if you go to the school in the Netherlands, you normally attend VWO. That's a 6-year school system. So the school report that you bring from the before last year, so 5th class of VWO, that's a report that you can already qualify with.
What grades do you require?
A 7 on average, and a 7 for mathematics, and a 7 for English. The question is, can you roughly indicate the weight between the 3 components? So your background, your motivation, and your grades. Normally, grades serve as a kind of threshold. So if you meet this requirement, that's okay. Now we take a further look at how you perform. So then it's weighted equally. But grades play an important role in the beginning, because we just want to make sure that everybody is at the required level. So that's a threshold requirement. The other ones are weighted evenly. And what we also do, we try to avoid to have groups, subpopulations in the program that are too dominant. Still, we're in the Netherlands, so you will expect and understand that the number of Dutch students is the largest. Still, we limit the percentage of Dutch students in the program to 40% maximum, just to make sure that we have sufficient place for the others. And we also limit the number of students we take in with a German and a French background also to a certain extent. So this year we put the cap at around 60 for this country. They're still the big 3, as already mentioned, but there should be sufficient place for people with a different background as well. Application procedure, well, you cannot read this, that's not a problem. It only wants to say that our application process is entirely structured and is entirely online, so it's a digital application process. There's almost no paperwork involved. So the best thing you can do, anyway, is to check our website, go to the admission application pages, press the button and follow the steps. And even if you press the button, you're not registered, but that's where it all starts. So it's a bit of a flow chart for this. Some practical remarks, one about money. You're lucky if you're Dutch, and you're lucky if you're a citizen of one of the member countries of the European Economic Association, because your tuition fee is subsidized by the Dutch government. So you do not pay the actual price, which is around 8,800, but you pay a subsidized fee. The difference, 6,000 euros, is covered by the Dutch government, by the Dutch minister. If you're from outside the European Economic Association, we don't get any money for you from the government, so then you pay the full price of 8,800. For those students who pay the full price, we have a number of scholarships available. Not an endless number, but still. And the requirement, if you bring very good secondary school grades, so in the Dutch system, if you would not bring a 7, but let's say an 8, in the German system, well, comparable. If you bring very good grades and you also would need a scholarship, you can apply for that. And again, all this information is on the website. Visa, if you're non-EEA, you need a visa. Never start the procedure yourself. It's time consuming, costs you a lot of effort. We always start it and we go smoothly through this procedure. Accommodation, important if you come from abroad. We have on-campus housing, we have dorms, but still many students in the Netherlands prefer to live close to university. Main reason is cheaper, that's the thing, because if you make use of the pre-arranged accommodation also at the Erasmus University campus, it's furnished, so the fridge is there, internet is there, everything is there. But it's pretty expensive, you easily pay 550, 600 euro a month. And I know from many students it's possible to live way cheaper in Rotterdam. I know many students who live for 350 or 400. So normally during your first year you find out where the cheaper places are to live, you get friends, etc. Still, many of our international students make use of the offer we have. Then, of course, when you are a student, there's a lot of extracurricular activities. I'm not a specialist in that, but our students are.
Right, so I guess I'm more of an expert than Adam is in these activities. At Erasmus universities, there really is a ton of activities that you can join besides IBA, whether you're interested in business, if it's sports, if it's with study help, we have everything. For example, last year I was a part of STAR. STAR is one of the biggest study associations in Europe that you can join, and they organize trips, they organize activities for their active members. So that's definitely a great experience if you want to do something besides IBA, if you want to get to know more people. That's definitely a lot of fun. This year I'm on the board of Enactus, which is an association that's all about social entrepreneurship. So that really allows you to put your business experience to practice. I'm also part of the tennis association, so if you're really into sports, if you really want to get active besides your studies, that's also definitely a lot of fun to join. Besides that, we have ESN, which is great for international students. They organize a lot of fun activities. SR, student representatives, to help your fellow students out. If you want to study a language besides your studies, maybe Chinese, Spanish, anything, there's opportunities for that as well. So no matter what your interests are, no matter what you'd like to do besides your studies, there's always something that you can join. And it's also a great way to get to know people besides IBA or just, what you're doing. So it's definitely a great opportunity besides all the student work. Yeah, the university has a rugby team as well. So I think basically like a lot of the, I mean, if you're into rugby, join that too. Huh? We have a rugby team. Come here. All right, so that's basically it on the extracurricular activities. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, there's been a lot of stories. So normally when we were supposed to summarize, well, you may forget most. But still, we would like you to remember a couple of things. As a school, as a program, we're pretty good. And we think we're highly international. And we also think we're pretty affordable. So that's the message in a nutshell. I would suggest, also looking at the clock, to keep it at this. Of course, there's now options to ask some questions, but I would also like to refer you to the student forum that we have in the session starting at 11 o'clock. We have asked 4 of our current students to be with us on stage. They are there to answer all your questions. They have, again, 40 minutes time, so that's a good moment to do so. We will also stay there, so there's sufficient time to answer all of your questions. Still, having said that, are there at this moment any questions that you would like to ask us? And we run around with mics.
I have a question on the balance that you talked about nationalities in the curriculum. How do you consider Dutch nationals with education from abroad?
Yeah, normally we would distinguish in 4 types of students that we take in. We have the true Dutchies, as we call them. So, for instance, you did VWO in the Netherlands, you're from Capelle aan de IJssel, that's very Dutch. It's also possible that you are a true international, that you come from abroad, have a different nationality than the Dutch one. These are the true foreigners, so to say. And then we have 2 mixies, as we call them. You have internationals, for instance, from Korea or Japan, who go to the international school in The Hague, so who already live in the Netherlands, but bring an international background. That's around 5% of our annual intake. And there's another important group, which are the Dutch in brackets. Around 10% of our intake, which are students who could have a Dutch passport but lived abroad for a substantial part of their lives, who traveled with their parents as expats, went to international school, etc., etc. They have a bit of a privileged status in the application, so they're not the regular Dutch, so to say. So they have a slightly bigger chance to be admitted to the program. Any other questions? And I'm looking against the spot, so I need to cover the eyes. I would suggest then to call it a day, at least for this session. Make use of the option to go to the student panel. Thank you so much for being with us.